Welcome to week 1 of the Dump Dairy Workshop series featuring a cooking demo by Jessica Carter. Join us for the first ever National Afro-Vegan Conference taking place virtually on July 25th. Register for free today. The Dump Dairy Workshop series is made possible thanks to the support of our sponsors, A Well-Fed World, Better Food Foundation, and Veg Fund. Thank you. Afro-Vegan Society is helping disempowered communities take back control of their health and environments through vegan living. Become a supporter today and donate on our website. Hi, I'm Jessica from Afro-Vegan Society, and today I'm going to show you how to make 3 delicious and decadent dairy-free desserts made with sweet potatoes. So these ingredients that you're going to need to make these 3 dishes are really simple. They're things that you probably have in your pantry, and if you don't have these exact ingredients, there are some simple swaps that you can make to create this custard at home. So the base of all 3 recipes is a chocolate custard that I'm making from cooked sweet potatoes. So all of these dishes are no bake. You're not going to be heating up your house in your oven making any of these dishes, and they come together so quickly and they're so delicious, but they're also really nutritious. Sweet potatoes are an excellent source of fiber and healthy sugars and carbohydrates, which is a great source of energy, and they're also full of beta carotene and antioxidants. So there are so many nutritious nutrients inside of sweet potatoes, and we're going to take this healthy ingredient and flip it into something really decadent without making it super unhealthy. So you're going to really enjoy making this recipe for yourself and for your friends and your family. So enough talking, let's put this custard together. So I have here a blender, and what I'm going to do is take about 3 cups of my sweet potatoes and put them in. So basically I'm making a really big batch of this chocolate custard mix because I'm using it in 3 different ingredients, but I will have written up recipes on the Afro-Vegan Society website that have it broken down for which exact measurements that you need to make these individual recipes on their own, or you can follow this recipe and make a really big batch and use it in all kind of stuff. So I'm going to start off by adding my sweet potatoes into the blender. We're going to start off with about 3 cups. Okay, so now I'm going to take this can of coconut milk, and I'm going to use about 2/3 of this can of coconut milk in this batch of the sweet potatoes. So I'm using full fat coconut milk in this recipe because it's really rich and creamy, and I personally like the flavor of coconut. But if you do not like coconut milk or you don't have it around, you can use soy milk, almond milk, oat milk, any kind of plant milk that you prefer to make this, and it's going to work perfectly. So I'm going to sit this on my blender. Then I'm going to add in about a 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. I'm going to add in 2 generous teaspoons about of vanilla extract. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and it's just that simple. So now I'm going to put my lid on and blend this up. So as you can see, the mixture is starting to come together, but I almost forgot to add my agave nectar. So the nice thing about sweet potatoes is that they're an ingredient that's naturally sweet. So the sweet potatoes that I am using to make this recipe are steamed, but I really prefer to use roasted sweet potatoes in recipes like this because when they roast in the oven, they start to caramelize and release their natural sugars even more, so you need even less added processed sugar. But you know, a little bit of sugar in moderation isn't too bad, especially when you're indulging in something a little bit more decadent. So I'm going to use about a 1/4 cup to a 1/3 cup of agave nectar. Once again, all the measurements that I'm using, this is a double batch right now. And then I'm just going to stir this up a little bit. This is not the strongest blender, but you really don't need a high-speed blender for a recipe like this because the sweet potatoes are so soft. Everything that you're blending together is super tender. So your standard blender is going to work to make a really smooth consistency when you're making this recipe. So okay, we're already off to a great start. Okay, and if you take a look inside, we've got a thick, rich custard blend here. So the first way that we're going to use this recipe is to simply make a serving of chocolate custard. And this is a really simple dessert. It comes together super quickly and it's so tasty, and if you have a sweet tooth or a chocolate craving, this will definitely scratch that itch for you. So I'm going to, let's see. Pour it in just like that. Smooth it out a bit on the top, and then top it off with a few strawberries. And there you have it, a sweet and creamy chocolate custard made with sweet potatoes. So the next dish that we're going to be making is a really simple and delicious chocolate cream pie. So we're going to be taking the same chocolate custard mix that we made with our sweet potatoes and layering it into a graham cracker crust. So just make sure you check the ingredients, but oftentimes graham cracker crusts are vegan friendly. So there's no honey, no milk, no eggs or anything in the crust. And then we're also going to be making a chocolate sauce to drizzle on top. And so our chocolate sauce is going to be made with vanilla, coconut milk, a little bit of coconut oil, and cocoa powder, and some agave nectar. And then we're also going to be making a whipped cream from coconut cream. So let's start off by making our chocolate sauce. So I'm going to be using this liquid measuring cup to whisk up all my ingredients. So I'm going to start off by putting about a 1/4 cup of agave nectar in first. Then I'm going to add in my vanilla extract. That was a generous teaspoon. Then I'm going to add in about a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. And I'm going to start off by whisking those 3 ingredients together, because sometimes cocoa powder can want to remain separate from what you're putting it together with. And so I find that the agave nectar and the cocoa powder whisk together better before I add in the coconut oil. And so just in a matter of seconds, we have a really thick fudgy sauce. So now I'm going to add in about a 1/4 cup of coconut oil and just a splash of coconut milk, not too much, just a splash. That was maybe a tablespoon. And then I'm going to be very careful as I whisk all of this together because I don't want it to splash up. Alright, and now we have this really rich and thick and fudgy chocolate sauce. So you have to be patient. You really don't want to overmix this because it will separate, it will break apart. But there was a while there where it was looking like it wasn't going to come together. So you just have to be patient with it. But it honestly does not take even a minute to whisk this together. So we have this all whisked up. Look at that. Alright, so I'm going to stop playing with the sauce, set that aside, and now we're going to make our whipped cream. So to make our coconut whipped cream, what I did to start was I have 2 glass bowls here, and I added some water and froze this overnight to have a chill bowl to whip this up in. Coconut milk whips up a lot thicker and easier into whipped cream when it's in a really cold bowl. You don't have to do this. You could also just take 2 bowls and put ice cubes in it, but I don't have an ice tray, so this is what I do. So I'm going to start off, and I'm just going to take this coconut milk. This has been sitting in the refrigerator overnight, and so the fats have risen to the top and they've solidified from the coldness of the fridge. And this is a full fat coconut milk. It will not work if you use light coconut milk. So I'm just going to scoop it off. And this can has a really nice yield. This was about 2/3 of the can of coconut milk that was a nice creamy thick fat. And I'm going to start whisking it up first. So I have my hand mixer, and I'm going to start it off on low. So as you can see, this whipped cream has already got really nice and fluffy. But now I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of agave nectar. And about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'm going to continue to whip this up. Our whipped cream is nice and fluffy and sweet, so now it's time to assemble our chocolate cream pie. Okay, so we're going to take our pie crust, and then we are going to take our chocolate custard, and we're going to put a nice generous serving of this on into our shell. And then we're just going to spread this out into a nice even layer. And it's so velvety, it's beautiful. So now we're going to take our whipped coconut cream and dollop it all over the surface of this pie and spread it out into a nice fluffy even layer as well. You want to be gentle with this because you don't want the layers to swirl. And actually, I think what I'm going to do is just dollop it all around and see what happens. Now, a great way to get a really solid base of chocolate before you start adding on your whipped cream is you could whip up your chocolate custard first and then sit it in the freezer to allow it to get firm. And then it makes it really easy to spread the whipped cream in an even layer on the top. So it just depends on how much time you have, what you prefer. If you don't care about it looking perfect, then this will work just fine for you, and it's going to taste just as delicious no matter what. Let's gently spread our coconut cream on top of our pie. So now we've got a beautiful layer of whipped cream on top of our pie, and now it's time to drizzle our chocolate sauce on top. So it's still a bit thick. Let's see how we want to go about this. We're not going for perfection here. We just want it to be, well, I mean, that's almost perfect, isn't it? So yeah, we're just going to drizzle streaks of the fudgy chocolate sauce on top. And you can do whatever kind of design you like. Okay. So, now we've got our fudgy chocolate sauce on top. And now I'm going to decorate it with some strawberries. Alright, so I have some strawberries that I've cut in half already. And maybe we'll do like a circular design. Alright, and here we go. It's almost like a little strawberry blossom on top. So this is how you make the chocolate cream pie. It has the sweet potato chocolate custard, it has a coconut whipped cream, it has a fudgy chocolatey sauce on top, and then it's topped with fresh strawberries. So the best way to serve this pie is to allow it to chill in the refrigerator or in the freezer overnight. So if you chill it in the freezer, it's going to be more chilly. It's going to be almost like an ice cream cake but a pie. And if you decide to put it in the fridge overnight, it's going to be a softer texture, and then a lot of the moisture will be absorbed into the crust. So you'll be able to slice it and get nice clean slices of this delicious pie. So here we have it. So we've got 2 recipes down and 1 to go, and the last one is just as simple as the first 2 and also just as delicious. So it's time for the 3rd recipe, and I'm going to make some really simple frozen fudge pops. So I used up the last bit of the sweet potatoes that I had, and I added a little bit more coconut milk. So like I said, the written recipe will be available on Afro-Vegan Society with the precise measurements, but I wanted to be a little bit more liquidy so that it was more pourable. So actually, before I pour this in, we have some more fudge sauce left over from our last recipe. So I'm going to take that and put a dollop at the base of each of these, and maybe get some along the sides just so there's like some fudgy streaks. Put that down and drag it up, put it down and drag it up, So this is completely optional, but I had the extra sauce left over and it wasn't enough to do a whole other recipe with. So I wanted to show you a way to use it up and make your fudge pops a little bit more interesting. So we're going to take a scoop, drag it up, take a scoop, drag it up, get that last little bit in. Perfect. So all you need is some popsicle molds, and this is, like I said, literally the same custard mix that I made at the beginning of the video, but I added a little bit more coconut milk just to make it more pourable. So I'm going to add equal amounts to each mold, and we don't want to fill it to the tippy top because we've got to fit our sticks in. Okay. I used up just about all of our mix. Now I'm going to put our sticks in and press them down. So just like that, I'm going to put these in the freezer overnight after I rinse this off. And tomorrow I will have some delicious frozen, dairy-free, and Decadent fudge pops. So that concludes this cooking demo for Decadent dairy-free desserts. I hope you enjoyed these recipes and that you'll give some of them a try. And I hope you saw just how versatile sweet potatoes and a few extra ingredients can be when making up all kinds of delicious and nutritious sweets. I look forward to seeing you all in a future cooking demo, and be sure to tune in next week for part 2 of the Dump Dairy workshop series. I will see you all very soon. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to our Week 1 cooking demo with Jessica Carter. Register for free today for the National Afro-Vegan Conference happening virtually on July 25th. Support Afro-Vegan Society's work by becoming a donor today. Tune in next week for an education session with Dr. Ruby Lathan and a cooking demo with Gabrielle Reyes.